What's up guys, how's it going? Welcome to another video here on the channel. Today I'm going to talk about the Samantha Nance's case. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do, and don't forget to turn on notifications. Now without further ado, let's go to the video. Samantha Nance, known to everyone as Shelly, has always been a playful and creative child. She was the youngest of 3 children and was very close with her parents, Sam and Cynthia. Her passion for art started from childhood, and due to her efforts, she won a scholarship to take a course at the Art Institute of Dallas, even getting 4th place in a national art competition. After completing high school, she was accepted to college and moved into an apartment off campus at Texas State University with her roommate, Ashley Olvera. The two met at the beginning of the school year and became very close friends, despite not going to the same places or the same classes in college. In the early morning of Thursday, September 10, 2009, Sam and Cynthia texted their 3 daughters. 2 of them responded, except Shelly. Believing the young woman to be busy with her academic duties, they weren't concerned. But by 2 p.m., she still hadn't responded to her parents' messages and calls. They found it strange and decided to call the faculty management, who said that she had not gone to class that day. But in contact with one of the young woman's professors, they learned that Shelly had complained of a flu and that in the last class asked to leave early as she had a lot of headache. However, the parents' agony only increased when night came and they still hadn't heard from their daughter. So the next morning, September 11th, they called the college again and one of Shelly's professors asked her roommate to come over to the apartment to see if everything was okay. When Ashley arrived at the scene, she called for her friend at the bedroom door, but there was no response. The young woman then entered and saw Shelly lying face down on the bed. Initially, she thought her friend was still sleeping, but when she took her arm, she noticed that it was cold, and when she turned on the light, she realized what happened there. There was blood at the scene. Very scared, Ashley quickly called the police. With the arrival of detectives, it was found that there were more than 40 perforations on Shelly's body, caused by a sharp object with a blade that was not found at the scene. There were no signs of forced entry into the apartment and nothing was stolen. With that, the police came to believe that the crime would have been committed by someone who knew the young woman and had access to the apartment. A school official reached out to Shelly's family, saying that she had been found and that they urgently needed to talk, but would not say what had actually happened. Sam and Cynthia had to drive several hours thinking about what could have happened to their daughter, and when they arrived, they had the worst news of their lives. During the investigation, at first, the police didn't understand why Shelly had no signs of struggle or defense. The crime scene was obviously very violent, and the room was very messy, but everything indicated that she had not reacted to her assailant. The police believed that Shelly would have been asleep when she was attacked, and this was later confirmed. There was a small amount of blood in the bathroom sink and bathtub, and detectives theorized that the perpetrator had been very careful and tried to clean himself up after the attack. Records on Shelly's computer showed that she turned it off at 6 a.m. on Thursday morning, and her roommate said that that day she left for college around 9 a.m. Therefore, the approximate time of crime was estimated between 9 a.m. and noon on September 10, 2009. During the autopsy, the coroner found something strange in the young woman's body. In her arm, there was a piece of an unknown blue material that was sent for analysis. The first person the police suspected was Ashley, Shelly's roommate, and the first person to arrive at the crime scene. The fact that the author of the crime was someone who supposedly had free access to the victim's apartment, and even after committing the crime, went to clean themselves in the bedroom's bathroom, without fear of being caught, as if they knew exactly the routine of the place, made the detectives turn their attention to her. Ashley was subjected to an intense and exhaustive interrogation. The detectives were sure that if she was really the author of the crime, soon she would contradict and they would catch her. However, she did not contradict herself once and added that she had no reason to take her friend's life. Ashley was asked how she could have slept on Thursday night when the crime had already taken place and not noticed anything strange. Ashley argued that despite living in the same apartment, each had their own room and it was common for them not to see each other for a day or two, since they had different courses and schedules. The young woman ended up being discarded as a suspect, but gave important information to the detectives. She said that Shelley had a boyfriend, a 21-year-old student named Nathan Schuck. According to her, Shelley and Nathan had been dating for about 2 months, and the two liked to play video games and watch movies together in the apartment. But anyone who saw them on the street would not believe that they would be a couple, since they didn't usually show public affection. Shelley's mother said that just a few weeks before the crime, her daughter mentioned that she wanted to break up with Nathan, but didn't elaborate on why. With this new information, the police now had a strong suspect for the case and a possible motive. Nathan was taken in for questioning, and the police asked him what he knew about the crime. The boy said only that he knew that his girlfriend had been found lifeless in her bed. The police then asked Nathan where he was on Thursday, the night of the crime. He said his mother dropped him off at college at 9 a.m., where he studied until 3 p.m. One of the officers asked to have him examined, and scratches were found on his chest. But Nathan claimed that he himself had cut himself with his fingernails due to an itch. Even under heavy pressure from the detectives, Nathan maintained his innocence and agreed to give his fingerprints and blood samples. He also allowed the police to search his apartment. In the bathroom of Nathan's room, detectives found an empty knife box and a Ziploc-type plastic bag, which had a red substance inside. When confronted with this evidence, Nathan said that none of it belonged to him, and even accused the police of planting these things to incriminate him, and later said he would only continue to cooperate in the presence of his lawyer. But the police had already collected what was found at his house, and they took it for analysis, and the results showed that the substance was Shelley Nance's blood. The next day, the police called Nathan back to the station to be questioned once more. The young man went, but he took his lawyer with him so he wouldn't have any problems. Again, he claimed that on the morning of the crime, he was with his mother, that the two of them went to a very busy diner for coffee, and later she dropped him off at college. Detectives were baffled when this alibi of Nathan's was confirmed by multiple witnesses and security cameras. If he really wasn't responsible for the crime, why was all the compromising evidence in his bathroom? Detectives asked Nathan if there would be anyone who would want to harm him, someone who would have easy access to his apartment. Nathan thought for a while, and soon a person came to his mind. Someone who claimed to be his friend and who liked him very much. That person was Daniel William, a 26-year-old. Nathan and Daniel shared the same apartment, something common among college students, as rent costs are split between them. Nathan told detectives that Daniel had access to his bathroom and said that he was a very strange young man. According to Nathan, Daniel was controlling and jealous about his relationship with Shelley. Nathan believed that his roommate was in love with him because many times when he did him a favor, Daniel would say, "I'm doing this because I love you." Several of Shelley's and Nathan's friends confirmed that they had always been suspicious of the relationship between Nathan and Daniel. There was even a rumor on the college campus that the two boys were much more than just roommates. According to close friends of the victim, she knew that Daniel didn't like her, and because of that, she acted rudely towards him. To give you an idea, if Shelley invited Nathan to an event, party, or something like that, and he didn't invite Daniel, he would get very irritated and sometimes show up at these places by surprise just to get in the way. Shelley's roommate believes that this would be one of the reasons why her friend was wanting to get away from Nathan. With all this new information, police decided to call Daniel in for questioning, as he was now the prime suspect in the crime. Detectives asked Daniel where he was the day of the crime, and he said he had gone to Walmart to buy soap and hair dye. The police department then asked Walmart for security camera footage, and Daniel was seen walking around the store at 10:12 a.m. where he actually purchased soap, hair dye, and blue latex gloves. These latex gloves had a material very similar to what was found on Shelley's arm. A sample of these type of gloves bought by Daniel was tested and compared to what was found in Shelley, and the result was positive. It was the same material. Police also discovered that on the day of the crime, Daniel had sent Shelley several text messages, a total of 13 messages, between 10:30 and 10:37 a.m. Upon learning that Daniel was being questioned, Ashley went to the police station and told the police that she had recently lent Daniel her car, and that along with her car keys were the keys to her apartment that she shared with the victim. According to Shelley, Daniel had already asked to borrow her car several times, but she always denied it, because even though he was a student at the same college as her, they were not friends and barely knew each other. However, as she always saw the boy together with Shelley and Nathan, she decided to lend it, believing that nothing bad would happen. Still, according to her, Daniel returned the car half an hour after picking it up. The police believe that it was on that day that Daniel made a copy of the keys to the victim's apartment, which would explain the lack of signs of break-in. For the detectives, there were no more doubts. Daniel was responsible for the crime. He was arrested and charged 2 months later, and his trial began on November 1st, 2011. The police and the prosecution discovered that Daniel had a history of violence, and that he had already threatened someone with a bladed weapon before. He denied the accusations and placed all the blame on Nathan, accusing him of wanting to frame him in order to get rid of him. But it was no use. There was too much evidence against him. Daniel William was sentenced to life imprisonment with the possibility of requesting parole after serving 30 years of his sentence. To this day, Daniel maintains his innocence and says that he was the victim of a frame. After the crime, Shelley's family created the Samantha Nance Institute, and every year they give a college scholarship to the Texas college where Shelley attended. The scholarship is intended for students who wish to major in the arts. After the trial, Shelley's parents gave an interview in which they said, "We hope that Daniel would not be released on parole, because he was proven with all his might that he is a violent individual and that he does not deserve to live in society." No one is sure if Daniel made up the whole relationship with his friend in his head, or if Nathan was also interested in Daniel. But regardless, Shelley was a talented young woman who was taken from this world too soon and for a banal reason. Alright folks, that's it for today. Thanks for watching until the end. Best wishes, and I see you next time.